Good afternoon, everyone. Good to see you here on this Tuesday before Halloween. It's Tuesday, October 30th, and I'm Tia Christensen with Dream Sculpting Institute, and welcome to Empowered Living 101. For those of you who I haven't met, I'm an energy empowerment coach, and I guide busy professionals along the path to doubling their energy while uncovering their life's truest desires. So what the heck does that really mean? I'll explain a little bit more. Part of my philosophy around energy is that energy is one of those key elements that's needed for clarity of thought, to help us and be able to tap into our personal power, and also to keep us at our optimum health. So clarity of thought, tap into our personal power or our peak performance, and giving us optimum health. So that's one of the things around energy, and not just physical energy, but energetic alignment that really catapults us into living an empowered life. And speaking of empowered life, what the heck is that? I've talked about it on the last couple of episodes, but I'll revisit it again here today in case you haven't caught the replay or you weren't able to join us. Empowered living means having trust in your inner guidance, your inner wisdom, that gut feeling, having the necessary energy, which we just talked about, physical energy and energetic alignment, having accountability to ourselves and accountability to others, which often we get from our friends or our family or even a coach, and having the mindset. All of those things are necessary in order for us to take action to affect change in our life. And not just any change, but real change that is in alignment with how we want to show up in this world. It's change that's in alignment with how we want to feel every single day, and change that is in alignment with how we want to live our life every single day. So that's empowered living for me. And as you pop on, I would love to, please make sure you say hi in the comments. Let me know where you're from. And if you have any questions along the way, feel free to put those in the comment section as well, and I'll answer them. And for those of you who join us on the replay, would love to know, same thing. Where are you coming? Where did you tap in from? And if you have any questions or thoughts or just general comments, please go ahead and put them in the comment section below. So here we are, as I said, on this day before Halloween, a very auspicious time here in the fall, and sort of on to today's topic, 5 life hacks to nourish your mind, body, and soul. So we just want to take a moment to think about that nourishment. And we mostly associate the word nourish, or the concept of nourishment, with food. That what we need to stay energized, to stay healthy, to really just keep going every day and feel satiated and get ourselves through the day. But let's think about nourish in terms of outside of food. And it certainly is something that we talk a lot about in the wellness community. I'm going to take some time to nourish myself, or I need to do something to nourish myself today. And it's sort of a catchphrase. So if you have something in particular that resonates with you in terms of how you define nourish or nourishment outside of its affiliation with food, please put it in the comment section below. I'd love to see what your thoughts are on it as we dig in here. And feel free to do that at any point in time along our Facebook Live session. So if we look to the dictionary, or the Google, whichever is at your fingertips. I still like to go to the dictionary. I actually have one on my bookshelf, and I enjoy flipping through those pages. It reminds me of being a kid, and there's just something about having that heavy book in hand, which I really like. Excuse me. Nourish is defined as to sustain with food or nutrient. very, very common. I think we all get that. It's I think the thing that generally comes to mind right off the bat when we think about the topic of nourishment. And hi, Anne. Great to see you here on my Facebook Live. Thanks for joining in. We're talking about nourishment today. And just, what are our definitions of that? And so, as I just said, if we look to the dictionary, it means to sustain with food or nutrient. However, there's a secondary definition for nourishment, and that is to supply with what is necessary for life, health, and growth. So let's think about that for a moment. To supply what is necessary for life, health, and growth. That certainly can mean a great many things outside of just food. So let's go ahead and tap into that concept a little bit and talk about it a little bit. And again, let me know if you have anything specific around Nourish or nourishment that really appeals to you. Hi, Julia. Great to see you here. Thanks for joining in. Glad to have you and Anne with me on the live broadcast today. So let's think about our environment for a little bit. And when I was thinking about that earlier today and yesterday, I thought of plants. And plants have a direct correlation to their environment. They rely on water and the rains that come to nourish them so that they can grow and they can sustain their life. And they rely on sunshine, literally for food, for synthesizing their food. And so do humans. If we think about our need for water, our bodies are made up mostly of water. And water is one of those key elements outside of food that helps to balance our blood sugar level. So one of the things I do when I work with my clients on doubling their energy is we take a look at how much water they're consuming every day. And one of the life hacks, one of the top tips that I have for my clients is to drink a full glass of water immediately when they get up before they do anything else to start their day, because we've been sleeping for quite some time, and that water will help even out our blood sugar level and help us get energized right off the bat. So just like plants who need water and the sunshine to grow, we also need water to stay hydrated, which keeps us healthy and keeps us energized through the day and helps our blood sugar level even out. And we also need sunshine. So for those of us who are in part of the country where we have distinct seasons, we're moving into that cooler time frame. And anybody who's gone skiing or participated in winter sports or lives in an area where we do get winter, we think about those moments where maybe we're in our car driving to work or to the office, or we're at home and there's some sunshine that's streaming through the window, even on a really, really cold winter's day. That sun just feels so soothing and so nourishing. And not only does it warm us up physiologically, but it also just sort of picks up our spirits and helps give us a little pep in our step. And as we all know, we get vitamin D from sunshine. So in terms of our environment, our physical environment, we have a physiological response to what is around us. And we get nourishment from those things. And the other thing that's in our environment that I thought about too and wanted to share with you and get your feedback on if you have any thoughts on are colors. And color therapy is definitely something that has been sort of a hot topic over some years, and there's been a lot of writings on it, and it can be a little bit controversial, and some people think there's a lot to color therapy and some people think that there's not much to it. But it might be a fun experiment to just take a look and notice your own response to the colors that you have around you. And if you're in an area of the country that experiences fall color change, it's, I know that when I look at those colors that are in the red spectrum, for some reason I just get really excited and it really picks me up and I just get a big smile on my face. And so I'm wondering if there are any colors that maybe that you have found along the way that impact your mood or make you feel a certain way. And the colors in the red spectrum, like oranges and those deeper yellows and the reds, are warming colors. And the colors in the blue spectrum, like your greens and your blues, are cooling colors. So I wonder, if when you think about your work environment or your home environment, if there are certain colors that you always feel really good when you're surrounded by. And if that is a new concept for you, it might take a little bit of time to actually really allow that thought to come up to your brain and say, yeah, I have those favorite colors in my wardrobe, or those favorite colors that when I'm shopping or in my decor that I really like having around me. And if we think about that in a different way, those colors actually give us some nourishment and are things that help not just sustain us, but help to foster our growth and our health and our life. The other thing that I wanted to bring up around our environment is smell. Smell is a very powerful, one of the most powerful senses. It really calls forth some of our most powerful memories throughout our lifetime. And it's something that when we have in our environment can either really turn us off or can really make us feel comforted and make us feel nourished. And I think one of the quickest ways to affiliate smell with how we feel nourished is just cooking. And if we think about the memories that get called up in our mind when we think about the smells around cooking, it could be when you were a small child walking into your grandparents' home, or even something that maybe your mom or dad cooked. For some people, it's the smell of barbecue in the summertime, or it's that roast on a cool winter's day or cool fall's day, or maybe it's the smell of the floral smell in the summertime, things like jasmine or roses that really make you feel a certain way. And those things can also feel very nourishing. So I think it's been about, maybe well over 30 years. I grew up in Western Massachusetts in New England, not far from where Yankee Candle is located. And I remember when scented candles became something, actually it's been much longer than 30 years. I think it was in the 80s that really became a thing. And all of a sudden, all these different scents became a way of really identifying sort of your living room, your home life. And there are scents that we affiliate with fall, like cinnamon, or evergreen smells, the smells of different trees as that fall shift happens. And then again, some people really like those sweet smells of cookies cooking, and there are a variety of different smells, and that became so popular, and really as a way for people to identify an odor that was really pleasant with their home life. And I would suggest that had to do with feeling nourishment and wanting to have that cozy feeling when we're home or when people come visit us. And then of course there's aromatherapy, actual therapy around the aromas that we smell. And for people who experience anxiety or have high stress, a few key odors that are really helpful in just relaxing us and keeping us grounded are lavender and jasmine and rose. And if we think about sort of that sensual smell of rose and what that means for each of us, it's a little different. This warm feeling, this warm sensation, and we identify roses with love and relaxation, and even with royalty or extravagance, and just sort of think about how those things make you feel, and just sort of how they fill up your pot and fill up your nourishment pot. And then sort of outside of environment and how environment can spark our nourishment, the other thing to think about are our connections. And we all want to feel like we're part of the larger group. We are connected to a greater group of people than just ourselves. And when we feel alone and disconnected, we definitely don't feel nourished when we feel alone and disconnected. We feel separate from everyone else. And that can really lead to feelings of loneliness and some depression. And just really, we don't feel good. It's definitely not that which is fostering our growth, our life, and our health. But when we feel connected with our coworkers, with our family, with our friends, with acquaintances, with our online community, those things really do nourish us and help to fill up that pot of nourishment. So the sort of in the same realm of connectedness, but slightly different, are our relationships. And we really want to foster our relationships that nourish us. And we have a variety of relationships in our lives. And there are ones, I know that for me, my grandmother, the relationship I had with my grandmother was so important. And every time I got to talk to her and every time I got to go and visit her in Connecticut, oh, it was just lovely. And I think back upon those times in moments where I'm really looking for some connectedness, or moments where I really think about, growing up and what nourished me, and walking into her condo and just the feeling of her hug and how wonderful that was, and just being able to spend some time with her. And no matter how old we were, from the time, my earliest memory of my grandmother to just before she wasn't able to cook anymore, she always made us and anybody else who was there, all of my cousins and my family, she always made us Swedish pancakes. So that smell of Swedish pancakes cooking in the morning really is a nourishing feeling for me. And it calls back all of these wonderful, beautiful memories of this relationship that I had with my grandmother, which was so amazing, and really filled up my nourishment pot and made me feel just really special and wonderful as I was going through life. And so, I've talked about environment, I've talked about connectedness, and talking about relationships. I'd love to know from you, what out of those different categories, are there things that come to mind that really make you feel nourished and really fill up sort of your nourishment pot? So go ahead, and I'll wait a moment and go ahead and pop those in the comment section, because I'd really love to hear your take on this, or if there are any questions, either live or for those of you who are catching the replay. Thank you for taking the time to do so. And I always go back through and read the comments after the live has posted, so that I can see if there are any questions. And I just like to know, what's coming up for you, and what are you thinking, and where are you, in what part of the country? All right, so thanks for that. Thanks for your comments. So again, just wanting to foster those things. And oops, hang on. I thought my screen just froze there for a second. Sorry about that. I had a little notice come up that I thought I was frozen, so I guess I'm not. So, there are other things outside of those categories that are nourishing for us. Some of the things, excuse me, a little frog in my throat today. A few of the things that I find really nourishing are, I love a hot cup of tea on a cool day. I love taking baths. And even in the summertime when it's really, really hot, a nice cool bath is so refreshing and can really pick me up and really make me feel like I'm being sustained. And on cool days and cold winter days, I love taking a nice hot bath with some Epsom salt and popping in some essential oils, either some peppermint to feel that refreshment, that awakeness, or some eucalyptus, or even some rose essential oils. Feel just really nourishing and really help pick me up. And I love going for my walks in Central Park. I'm fortunate enough to be a block off of Central Park. And so those are just a few things that I find that really fill up my nourishment pot. So again, I would love to hear from you. What are some of the things that you do for yourself to feel nourished, or just to really take care of yourself? And, you know, as I was thinking about this, one of the sort of iconic imageries that came to mind for me was Winnie the Pooh. And I think everybody's familiar with Winnie the Pooh. And if you're not, go ahead and look up, you know, Winnie the Pooh and his pals Piglet and Christopher Robin and Roo and Tigger, of course. And for Winnie the Pooh, his nourishment, almost an obsession, but not really. You know, it was such a great kid's story, was always needing that pot of honey. That was Winnie the Pooh's nourishment. That was what he needed to feel fulfilled in life and to have what he needed for growth and to feel sustained and to have what he really was excited about. So every story about Winnie the Pooh is him having a comment about needing his pot of honey, or looking for his pot of honey, or trying to find it or get it from the bees. So, you know, I guess in essence, what is your pot of honey that helps you feel nourished? So on to sort of the core elements here. What are the 5 life hacks to nourish your mind, body, and soul? So we've covered a few of those categories already, and we'll just go ahead and I'll repeat them here in sequence in no particular order of importance. But 1, environment. We talked about how colors around us can help us feel nourished. And if that's not something, a thought that has occurred to you before, I invite you to take this next week and really take a look at the colors that you have around you and the things that you have in your home. And you'll find that there are some things that you have that you really love. The other thing that I love to have in my apartment or around me are fresh cut flowers. I just find them really nourishing, and that helps fill my pot up too. So in terms of environment, for those of you in your work life, if you're in an office, it's easy to have a plant, either like a succulent, which doesn't require a whole lot of light, or maybe some flowers, or a flower if you don't have a lot of space, if you're in a cubicle maybe, and just really sort of plant in some things in your environment from the outside environment that can help you feel nourished. The other thing you can do at work is, if you don't have a lot of space, or some places of work have very particular guidelines on what you can have in your desk area, print out a photograph of a place that you really love to be it in the woods or at the beach, a place you want to go or a place that you've been, and put that up in your work environment and see how that makes you feel, and if that supplies you with one of the elements that you need to fill up your nourishment pot. The other one of our 5 life hacks is that connectedness, making sure that we're feeling connected with the larger group, our coworkers, our family. Maybe there are some activities after work that you can join in, or if you don't have time to do that because your home life is so busy, you have kids or need to catch the train or whatnot, you can, how about just asking a coworker to go grab lunch, or walk away from, move away from your desk and go sit someplace else with a coworker and just have lunch and a little bit of conversation and get that connectedness happening. Go to a meetup and check out what's in your local area to see if there's a topic out there that you're interested in. And if you're a shy person like I am, and believe it or not, very shy, the thought of going to a place where there are a large group of people that I don't know is very challenging for me. But just commit to going for an hour, just to get out there and connect with some people, and especially some new people. You never know who you'll meet. You'll never know what may happen. And number 3 are relationships. Really fostering the relationships in our life that nourish us. our family, our friends, and maybe there's some relationships that take energy away from us. And in that case, focus on fostering the relationships that do nourish you. And then we have movement. Movement is a great way to get our nourishment rolling. And why? Because at the very simplest biochemical level, when we're in motion, when we have movement in our life, endorphins are released. And endorphins give us that sensation of feeling good. And it doesn't have to be a workout. It can be 10 minutes after lunch. Leave that phone on your desk, go for a walk around the block, smell some fresh air or some air, depending on where you live. Get some sunshine on your face, just stretch your legs, get that blood flow going so that that blood can carry oxygen through our bodies, and just get some movement. I have a lot of people tell me, there's some people, some of my clients I work with, they love their workout. They're really devoted to it, or they love their marathon training. And for other clients, that's really not their thing. So we've talked about dance parties, mid-afternoon dance parties. If you're in an environment, or if you can do this at your work station or in your office, and get a few work associates, a few colleagues or friends to join you. Just pick a song, and you don't have to go too crazy or go full out crazy, and have a little dance break in the middle of your day. Get that blood flowing. It also helps bring clarity, because when we interrupt our day from the grind of just being at the computer, stuck there alone, without any connection, without any movement, when we can break that pattern, that really helps us with our nourishment. And then number 5 is sleep. And that is the one thing that I find from my clients when we first begin to work together that's really hard for them. We live in this society where we think sleep is the enemy. And we need to work more. We need to work harder. There's not enough time in the day. For those of you with kids, there's always some place that they need to be, or they need help with homework, or there's a lesson or a game, or, for wives, we're all wives or partners or girlfriends or daughters or mothers, or we're just adults. We're children of adults, and we have all these different roles that we play. And, we're leaders, we're women in power, we're executives, we own our own business, and there's a lot that's tugging at our time each and every day. But sleep is really probably one of the most important elements for nourishment. And it's definitely one of the most important elements that we have in terms of energy. Because without sleep, our body cannot re-energize. And it's during our sleep time that our internal organs actually re-energize themselves, and our adrenal glands are able to rest and produce some adrenaline so that we can carry on each day. So it's a very important aspect. And then a bonus life hack, while Julia is on, and maybe she can comment, is food and how that nourishes us, which we talked about earlier. The difference between food being our nourishment, which we all associate with nourishment, and then these are our other 5 life hacks. So that's environment, connectedness, relationships, movement, and sleep. And all of those things can help bring nourishment to our mind, body, and soul. So again, I invite you to let me know what brings you nourishment outside of food. Food is the bonus on the life hack, because we all need it. And we know right off the bat that food does nourish us. And Julia is an expert at living a plant-based life. So she's got a lot of great information on how to be a plant-based superstar. So I'll go ahead and, as Julia says, for sure, what we put into our mouths play a huge role in our health. It sure does. It sure does. I agree with that. And all right, I'll just give it a few more moments as we sort of conclude here. we're getting to our 30-minute mark, and I try and keep it at 30 minutes for those of you with our busy lifestyles. Love to hear your comments, love to hear what nourishes you, what fills up your Winnie the Pooh honeypot on nourishment. And also, I would love to invite you, for those of you who aren't already a part of my community, please visit dreamsculptinginstitute.com and sign up for my newsletter. Well, I'll have top tips and great information and special deals. And when you sign up for the newsletter, you will immediately get My Pleasure, Julia. Thanks for joining us, and glad I could mention you. And again, if you're interested in knowing more about plant-based living and how that fuels you, reach out to Jewel Nove, as she goes by on Facebook, or you can tap into her Facebook profile right through this live Facebook stream, and she can fill you in on those details. But yeah, if you would join my community, I'd love to have you. It's growing by leaps and bounds, and it's really exciting. So visit dreamsculptinginstitute.com and click on the Hook Me Up tab for a free Double My Energy Today download. And I will also email you another download, which is called, how to tap into your personal power, through the 3 top tips there. So that's 2 downloads for joining the community. One you'll immediately get when you subscribe to my newsletter, dreamsculptinginstitute.com. I'll just go ahead and type that in here because it's a little easier for people. To just click on the links. Let's see here. Okay, hopefully there we go. So the Hook Me Up tab for your free download on how to double my energy today. And I'll email you a secondary download on how to tap into your personal power, 3 top tips. So if there aren't any more questions, I will go ahead and say thank you to those of you who are able to join me live. And I so appreciate all of you who are able to join the replay. And please do leave your comments. I do go back and look, and I'm happy to answer any questions and would love to hear from you. Thanks again. Have a wonderful day, and may the light illuminate your way.